Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be using the wired mic set because if you haven't noticed, my other microphone sounds like I'm in a swimming pool. But anyways, my name is Reagan if you're new to this channel. Today we're going to be talking about stress addiction and why we're all secretly obsessed with it and how to get out of it. This has been a major factor in my life. It's a major motivating factor for why I started posting, and an area of my life that I've made drastic improvements in that I want to share with people who are living their lives just constantly stressed out, always worried about something, overwhelmed, like can't seem to get rid of the responsibilities, always has to do everything for everyone else, like really struggles to ask for help. If you're that type of person, this video is for you because, girl, I have walked in your shoes. I have been in your path or walked on your path. Yeah. And I'm here to share everything I've learned because I can say with confidence the person I was 1 year ago and the person I am today, drastically different levels of stress, massively. Yes, partially that has to do with the difference of responsibilities between being in college versus being in the adult world, but also, regardless of that, we all know that one person in our lives who's just always a fucking ball of stress and anxiety, as I was once called, who just can't seem to get rid of responsibilities. There's always something going on. There's always drama. There's always like fires to be put out. And there's a reason for that. And that's why I'm making this video so we can get into it. If you're new here, please like this video, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. And I'd be happy to have a conversation about everything. That sounded really fucking stupid, but honestly, I am not going to re-record this because we are balling on a budget for time. Now, to start off, our society rewards productivity. We are rewarded for doing things from when we are kids. Like, think about the things that your parents are like, whoa, yay for. Like, even the basics of learning how to walk or doing something really well in a sport. Like, things that you were naturally encouraged to cheer for like your kids doing. That's what we see as good when we're growing up. And naturally, that leads to us just always assuming that the more we're doing, the more we're being productive, the more things we're putting out into the world, the more people will love us, the happier that we'll be, like the more deserving of a person we'll be, or like worthy of respect, right? And that makes sense. It's a logical system of equations to get us to where we are now in society. And another factor to this is being super stressed out is very normalized. Think about how much people joke about being constantly sleep deprived, running on coffee, always busy, you gotta do this thing, this thing, this thing, like there's always so many things going on, you know how it is. That is very much so almost like a culture in and of itself, or a culture issue, so to say, to be stressed out all the time and be almost proud of it. Like it's something that gives you honor or respect, again, to always be stressed out and just like always have something going on. Like if you're not always stressed out, it seems like you're someone who's in the minority. Again, take it with a grain of salt because that's dependent on who you surround yourself with, but speaking to the general public, from what I see and what I've experienced in my life, that seems to be the case. And another factor to this is once you get used to living in a state of stress, that becomes your body's default system. Once you have a default system, straying from the default system feels unsafe. And your body can also get addicted to the feelings of like adrenaline and cortisol and all of the hormonal changes that happen when we're stressed out. When that becomes your body's baseline default state, that's the type of addiction that you have to stress. When you're just always so used to being stressed that your body literally does not know anything else, and therefore it keeps you safe by keeping you in what it knows to be comfortable, and you become just stuck in this box of stress. That's where I see a lot of people are from my observation of our society. And again, with how things play out, it makes sense that we get to this point. It makes sense that we're rewarded for the more things that we do. It makes sense that we're here. But now, what it took for me to break this pattern and break out of the shell of stress and actually find peace in my life and realize that there's a better option available was education. That was the first step, and that's what I'm doing with this video. And one of the best ways to think about it is if you imagine living as a caveman, cavewoman back in the day. We as a species are not evolved or have not evolved to ever be able to handle the amount of stress and overstimulation that we experience in our modern day. Like I can't even express how much our brains are not equipped to set us up for success in modern society, to the extent of, we've never had phones before this generation. We've never been expected to do this much. Like, especially women in particular, I've seen have gone so far down the line of always just like being that girl boss and doing so much and not asking for help, that we have gotten that to a point where it's like, oh shit, we need to reverse some of this damage, not just for women but men too, and realize that living stressed out is not ideal. It's not normal. We're not meant to carry the weight of a million different things, and we're not supposed to be always just overwhelmed. If you're always overwhelmed, if you're always stressed out, that's a sign your body has become addicted and so used to just constantly being stressed that it doesn't even know any other option what to do. So to kind of get out of this, it takes a while. I'm not going to say, oh, in 2 seconds after watching this video, you'll be able to just stop being stressed out. No, that's not the case. Rewiring your brain and readjusting your new normal takes time. It takes a lot of time. The scale of months to years, not days to weeks. But you can make small improvements day by day that then compound over time by doing really simple things. So I actually have notes, and I wrote down, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying I wrote down. Literally, you guys don't care. But the ways to fix it, from my experience, when you're feeling really stressed out, when you are just like so overwhelmed, you notice when you are in that state of overwhelm and catch yourself doing it. And you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, is there anything that I could delegate to someone else and ask for help with? Put your ego aside, put your pride aside, and build some trust in the people around you, particularly if you're working on a team or if it's work related or family or your partner or whatever. Ask yourself if you can delegate anything to them, and trust that in delegating those tasks, even if things aren't done exactly how they're supposed to be done, or in terms of the way that you would do it or your perfectionist mindset, you are winning by taking that stress off of your plate. Delegate your tasks. If you are a really busy person, especially, figure out ways to delegate. I was really bad at this. When I was in college, my senior fall semester, 6 classes, all engineering and astrophysics, and I was president and captain of my club soccer team. That was a fuck ton. That was a shit ton. Did I do a good job delegating? Guess what? No. Reagan did not do a good job. And because of that, I actually almost freaking spontaneously combusted. I was barely breathing by the end of the semester. And that was an example of learning a lesson the hard way of you need to learn to ask for help. Women especially, the idea of asking for help has been so, I don't want to say vilified, because that's a little too much, but we just seem to be so resistant to asking for help. And we don't want to seem weak. We don't want to seem like we can't do something. Like, we have this idea that we have to be so independent on our own. We can't rely on anyone else, or we can't trust anyone else for either examples from our past or just like that's just generally our belief system, that we are so incapable of asking for help. But that is a choice. That's a choice. You're making it a choice to have it feel hard to ask for help. Put your ego down. Put your ego aside. You want so badly to just be able to relax, and yet you can't because you're just so used to being in the stress state. Number 1 way to get out of it is delegate your tasks. Ask for help. Ask your partner to do things. Spread out the overwhelm and the stress as much as you can to other people in a way where it's actually manageable for all parties involved, instead of you just taking everything on. Because what happens when you, for example, if you're like a mom in a family and you have a million things going on and you never ask your husband to help you with anything, who wins from that? Who wins? Like, who are you proving yourself to? Everyone is worse off for it, especially you, when you don't delegate and just ask for help. Like, you're not winning when you do everything on your own. You're not. It's not something to be like, it doesn't make you more worthy of anything. It just hurts you. So I almost said put down the knife. What am I on? Guys, I've been fried. I have the front camera on right now, and this background is jank, and you don't even, anyways, but put down the fighting stick, put down the sword, and ask for help. So when you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, ask for help. Second thing to do when you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, can you reframe your mind? And I know this may sound really stupid, especially for people who are like, you have no clue the amount of stress that I'm under and what I'm talking about, and like the ways that I can't even explain it. Again, contextualize everything to your situation, but food for thought. Can you reframe your thoughts so you can maybe see your stressors in a different light? Or can you maybe let go of the need for everything to be perfect and to control everything with such this like stress state? Can you just realize that, is it really life or death? Is someone going to die if something doesn't get done perfectly on time? Or if you happen to be running 5 minutes late for something that is not that important? Like, we stress ourselves out so much more than we need to just by worrying about things that don't really need to be worried about. And this is very context dependent, but personalized? I don't know. I'm losing the brain power here, but very dependent on your own situation and how you react to things. But one of the biggest lessons I've learned, as is what I'm telling you, is not everything's that serious. Not everything's life or death. No one is going to no one's going to care if something isn't done perfectly. Most people aren't even going to notice. You ever think about, for example, of like running late? Not saying that you should be completely fine always running late, whatever, and some people are more timely than others, but you ever think about like rushing to get somewhere because you cannot be late, like someone's going to be so mad if you're going to be late, and then you get there like after speeding on the highway or rushing somewhere, and no one cares. No one even bats an eyelash. I do this all the time with family events. I used to do this way worse, but I will have this idea that I need to get there like right on time, right when it starts, right when I said I would, and if not, then I'm going to seem like a bad person who doesn't care. But like, you show up when you like, no one's keeping track of things. We think that everyone's so much more critical of us than they actually are, and we just don't need to be as stressed out about things. Another thing that you can do to mitigate your stress is planning ahead more when you can. Like, actually make it a priority to spend not even an hour on a Sunday to plan out your week, plan out your meals, get rid of the things that take up space in your mind for making decisions, and allow yourself to relax in that way, to that structure. So another thing I wanted to say too is, don't, with my point of, can you reframe your stress to be like, this really isn't that bad, or I don't need to be freaking out about this that much. Easier said than done. But don't gaslight yourself either. Don't be like, do I really need to be stressed about this? No, this is totally fine. I'm just going to choose to not be stressed. Like, that is not healthy either. It's not good to just completely bypass your feelings and emotions of like being worried and stressed out just to try to be like, I'm not stressed. Like, you can allow yourself to feel, and again, you can give context to the situation of like how severe it actually is and honor that. But my point is more so in the way of, can you figure out how to actually find ways to have more peace in the moments that you're really stressed out when you can? Like, the things that are less serious by definition, can you let them be less serious? Can you have less control over it? Like, does it really need to be perfect? No. 9 times out of 10, things don't actually need to be perfect. It's all in our heads. And also, 9 times out of 10, if we're worried about what other people are thinking of like being on time or doing this perfectly or whatever, like, no one notices. No one cares. Everyone is living their own individual lives. They're not thinking that much about when you showed up. Even if it's like a work thing or something that goes wrong, people are over it in like a day. No one even really cares in most cases. So, messy episode, but hopefully that gives you guys some food for thought with stress addiction, where it comes from. And I didn't talk about women. Also, we can do the same things as men. We are very blessed with the position that we have in our society, and we cannot do it in the exact same way as them. Men run on a 24-hour solar cycle. Their hormone levels rise and fall in essentially the exact same way every day. Women, we run on a lunar cycle. We generally have 4 different weeks in a month of completely different hormonal profiles, that are like related and change over time, but we are much more sensitive to stress by design of our nervous system, and we can't just be productive workhorses 24/7, 365 through all of the phases of the cycle. Like, there's a reason why you feel different in different times of the month. It's not just random. Like, it comes from your hormones. And this is something that when you learn to honor the phases of your cycle, it's actually more ideal for your productivity, because you're not expecting yourself to do so much more when you have so much less energy, like the week before your period in your luteal phase, you know? And our nervous systems also have a lower capacity, because when you think back to primal days, we weren't the ones hunting. We weren't the ones running out chasing like animals. Like, we are not built to handle as much stress. We're not as resilient to stress as men. Men can take on more stress because they have higher testosterone, and their bodies and their brains are built to handle a higher capacity of stress. That's why it's better when they're kind of the ones that are like handling a bit more stressful of situations, because we are literally like at capacity when they are just feeling fine. So, more food for thought. I hope that helps. So yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this video. Let me know in the comments, and I will be back next week for another video. So follow my Instagram if you haven't. I actually started posting on stories regularly, and we're gonna keep going from there. So ignore my extra large baggage under my eyeballs and me breaking out, and also the random background and the wired headset. And wow, I'm really just exuding confidence, aren't I? But truly, I hope you guys got something out of this. Go be your most organic selves, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.